Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I call the meeting of the Senate Government Oversight Committee to order. We do need to just take care of some administrative issues. Roll will be taken silently as we get moving here. Additionally, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting that were distributed electronically. Senator Vizignano has moved the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes will stand approved as submitted. Good morning to everyone who's here, and thank you for coming. I just do want to make sure that everyone is aware that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the Senate website, just as a matter of protocol. I didn't want anyone caught off guard by that. It is happening currently. And let you know that the purpose of this meeting is truly an inquiry into the burglaries that occurred in Polk County and Dallas County courthouses earlier this month, and the judicial branch's role in that, as well as the contractor that they had selected, whose personnel did allegedly commit those burglaries. The two individuals, the employees of the company Coldfire, were charged with third-degree burglary after they were arrested in Adel on September 11th. So when I refer to burglary today, please be aware that I mean alleged burglary. There have been no convictions, and so when I use that term, it is alleged at this time. We are not here to determine guilt or innocence of those individuals. That's not the purpose of this. The purpose of Government Oversight Committee is to look at the interactions and the actions and potential actions of government entities, and so that's why we're here today. So unless until convicted, please know that those folks who work for Coldfire enjoy the presumption of innocence in this conversation. Because there is ongoing criminal investigations, though, if anyone feels as though it would infringe upon that process to answer a question that I can put forward, please feel free to let me know that. I do want to give Senator Vizignano, as ranking member, an opportunity for an opening statement related to proceedings before us. So, Senator Vizignano, you're in order.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As Senator Sinclair said, this is an information gathering. This has been quite an odd case to come before the public and now the Oversight Committee. There are a number of people who are here that can help us clarify what happened, why it happened. There are a number of people who chose not to be here who could also be of assistance because of the timing of the pending cases. And so I've read a great deal of documents in regards to this, but my questions will probably be disjointed because I didn't have enough time to get them in appropriate order. So if I do jump around, just go with me. And also there's a great deal of IT language in here which I don't speak. And that's made it also very difficult to understand. So thank you, Madam Chair, and let's proceed.
Perfect. Thank you, Senator. At this time, I would like to start the conversation with officials from Dallas County. So if Sheriff Leonard and Mr. Chenard, Supervisors Chapman and Hanson could please make your way up and join us at the table. If you gentlemen wouldn't mind, please share with us your full name and your title so that our folks taking minutes will have your full names and roles, please. If we can start with you.
Kim Chapman, Dallas County Board of Supervisors. Kim Chapman, Dallas County Board of Supervisors.
Chad Leonard, Dallas County Sheriff.
Chuck Sinard, Dallas County Attorney.
Mark Hansen, Chair of the Dallas County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. Before we move on, to somebody with the technical expertise to correct that. There's no problem. I think how we're going to handle this is I'm just going to ask you some pretty specific questions about the events of September 11th. I'm going to go through those initial questions first, and then I'll invite my colleagues here to follow up with any questions that they have as well. But I want to get the story out first. I want to hear what happened, and I want to try to get an understanding of where we are. Again, I do understand that there are criminal proceedings occurring, and so I don't want you to feel like you need to answer a question that would violate that process either. So with that, if I could just dive right in here. So let's talk about Dallas County here, and specifically the courthouse. The courthouse does house the district court facilities, including courtrooms, judges' chambers, administrative offices, clerk of court, all of that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Within the courthouse, though, there are other Dallas County offices, the treasurer, recorder, auditor, supervisors. Is that correct?
That is not correct. That is not correct. The courthouse does house for other county offices, the treasurer as well as the recorder.
But the facilities are not wholly occupied by the courts. Is that correct?
Senator Claire, that is correct.
Perfect, thank you. The courthouse is the property of whom?
Dallas County.
The Dallas County taxpayers.
Thank you. The district court and court personnel use the space within the courthouse under an agreement with Dallas County.
I'd go ahead and answer that. We have reviewed.
Is it still not working? Yeah, there we go.
I did some review. I did not take office until this year, but I did consult my predecessor. There were no written agreements. I did check, as I said, with my predecessor and with the judicial court offices that occupy a space there. It is occupied, from my understanding, purely pursuant to Iowa Code Section 602-1303.
Perfect. So any understandings would be confined to the limits of that section, code section.
Correct.
Perfect. Who's responsible for courthouse security?
The sheriff.
I do understand there's been an investigation about the alleged burglary, so let's come to there. That was just some background information for the purposes of this conversation, because that's the crux of it. The alleged burglary at the Dallas County Courthouse on or about early morning, September 11th this year. I'd like to ask some specific questions about that. Again, with the understanding you may not be able to fully answer those. Prior to the apprehension of the suspects, did anyone with the judicial branch ever contact any of you, to the best of your knowledge, any other Dallas County officials, to state that the physical security testing may be performed at the courthouse? Were you notified prior to that?
No.
Did anyone tell you that there might be attempts to gain, as the contract stated, unauthorized access to the courthouse?
No.
Could you tell us how this alleged burglary came to your attention on September 11th? And maybe Sheriff Leonard, that would be best for you to address.
Well, dispatch, the way we're set up out in Dallas County is we have an alarm system. The dispatch center seen the alarm come in, they came into the courthouse, so they started reviewing the cameras. And they alerted law enforcement that they had two people that were not cleaning people inside the courthouse.
Am I correct in understanding that the AL police were the first to respond, followed by Sheriff's office?
That's correct. They were there within 3 minutes, and the sheriff's office is a few minutes later.
So when your deputies and yourself and the AL police responded to the alarm courthouse, the nature of the response was based on an understanding that a possible crime was being committed, in the process of being committed, or still in progress. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
So they were responding to an actual criminal activity as far as they understood.
Yes.
Can you describe all of the events of that morning then for me?
Madam Chairman, I had previous discussions with the sheriff in regards to any substantive facts regarding the allegation itself. according to my ethics, under the Iowa Rules of Professional Conduct, I believe those are facts that would be part of this pending criminal charge. I advise him to decline commenting on that. I have a concern that there's already been numerous public statements about some of the facts and release of what would potentially be evidence that may have already shaped public opinion or opinions of people who could potentially ultimately hearing any matters that were to come to fruition. And so I decline to make further comment.
Perfect. May I try and ask some questions? And again, you can say that you can't answer. May I try and ask some questions as relates to the judicial branch specifically? Because that's what we're here to get at. We're not here to talk about the nature of the accused and the crimes that were committed there. We're here to talk about government oversight. May I try and ask some of those questions?
As long as it doesn't pertain to the criminal allegation itself, or information that has already been made public through any complaint, an affidavit, or statement already, I advise the sheriff that could speak about those matters.
Perfect, thank you. So just some general questions about the courthouse. Is the courthouse generally locked at 12:30 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Public would not have access to any regular entrances at that time of day?
No.
Was there any determination then how an alarm was tripped at that time of day? How access entry was gained?
We did determine that later in the investigation, but we were notified by alarm.
Can you share, can you determine if any damage was done to the building during this?
That's still being looked into.
I have some questions here specific to the suspects, and I probably will skip over that just in deference to your prosecution process. May I ask, did the suspects make any claims or statements to the law enforcement about any contract that they had with the judicial branch at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Did either suspect make a claim about being apprehended while doing testing at locations in other parts of the country at that time?
That was a statement later obtained by detectives.
Was there a document produced at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the suspect use any phrase as he referred to that document?
He specifically told me that it was his get out of jail free card.
Can you describe to me describe to me any contact that law enforcement, that officers on the scene had with the judicial branch? Did the suspects ask you to contact the judicial branch, and if so, did anyone from law enforcement do that?
The piece of paper that the initial officer received had names on it, and they did contact one of those names on there. And basically, they were told that it was a legitimate contract. I arrived shortly after that.
Do you know who made the initial call and to whom the call was made?
Well, I don't know if I can release the name, but there was Sergeant Vanderleest made an initial phone call to Andrew Sherwood that was on the piece of paper. And after I ordered the officers to arrest the gentleman, I made a phone call to the same gentleman.
And perhaps you can't answer this, and if you can't, that's fine, but I do want to ask it. Did the suspects claim that they had been authorized by the judicial branch to enter the Dallas County Courthouse, even knowing that it was locked and inaccessible to the public at that time?
They were definitely under the understanding that
You say you placed a call to Mr. Shirley once you arrived on the scene after the arrests were made. And so this gets directly to that conversation. Can you share with me the substance of the conversation?
I'd have to decline that, ma'am.
Let me ask very specifically then, were you asked to release the subjects and not file criminal charges?
I wasn't asked to not file criminal charges, I was asked to release them.
From your conversation with the judicial branch sheriff, did you understand him to be claiming that the break-ins were in fact authorized under a contract between suspects or their employers and the judicial branch?
I believe the gentleman I talked on the phone, Mr. Shirley, he believed it was authorized. Basically, that was he just directed me to release them so they could continue on there. Because they had another one to do that night. So,
They had another one to do that night? Can you tell
he
me?
specifically said they were going to Story County after Dallas.
So he was aware that this was happening?
Seemed to be.
What was your response to the request to release them?
They're not going anywhere. They're staying in jail.
Were you asked not to advise other sheriffs of the activity?
Yes, I was.
What was your response?
Not only am I going to call the sheriff of Story County when I get off the phone here, I'm going to send an email to the other 97 sheriffs advising them what's going on.
Would you mind sharing the content, the tenor of the email that you sent? Did you in fact send the email to the other sheriff?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Would you mind sharing with us the content, or does that get into the
That's
process?
pretty much what I commented on here, is basically what happened. I didn't know at the time how extensive the contract would be, how many counties were targeted. I just knew that Story County was next, so I just let everybody know.
Have you been asked to keep any of these details secret?
No.
After the morning of September 11th, after this incident, and the communications that you've had with the judicial branch personnel, did anyone with the judicial branch subsequently contact you or any other Dallas County official about the incident?
I was not contacted.
I was at
I was contacted
You were?
the morning after the event, after I had briefed by the sheriff, and it was just an apology to us for what happened.
Do you mind sharing with me who contacted you?
I can later, I don't have that name right now for you.
Thank you. Has anyone from the judicial branch asked or suggested that you or any of the Dallas County officials agree to take or not take any legal or factual position that's been proposed by the judicial branch regarding the burglary?
No.
Have you been asked to make any public statements about the crime? Were you asked to make any public statements regarding the incident?
No.
Are you aware of any meeting that the judicial branch held with judges and other court personnel following the alleged burglary?
No.
More generally, because I don't want to dive into more details specific to the burglary. I understand that it's an ongoing investigation, but I'm a former county supervisor, as a couple of you may recall. I recall doing simulations and tests and checks of our systems. If any other government agency were to stage a drill or exercise that involved the appearance of emergency personnel, to an emergency situation, would that happen without informing the first responders that it was in fact an exercise and not an actual event?
Not usually.
Usually, the
Usually
first
we'd be
responders
notified.
would be notified. Would there be increased risk to first responders and participants without a notification?
Yes.
Are there ever exercises about potentially serious crimes that you would not have been notified about? In any other instance, if you were doing a test of your systems?
Not that I can think
I want to give you the opportunity here before I open it up to questions from my other colleagues here. Is there anything any of you would like to say or share about the incident that took place or any of the subsequent actions that have occurred that you would like to speak to today? This is a great opportunity for you to share anything at this time.
I need to back up to another question you asked if I received any visitors. Chief Justice Katie and Molly, I'm not sure Molly's last name, I apologize, visited me the following day. Just basically to apologize for any confusion with this, so but, it's very brief.
But they did come to,
They came to the sheriff's office. Yes.
supervisors, either of you like to share anything regarding?
I just say I'm very proud of our sheriff and our team. And, as was already stated by Supervisor Chapman, we have our treasurer's office and our recorder's office with birth, death, and marriage records. And who knows what those folks might have been looking for.
Just to clarify on that, do you have some concern about the personal information of the people of Dallas County?
No, I do not, but I'm just saying, that they responded to people inside and
I guess I too am very proud of our sheriff, his department, particularly the dispatchers that were on duty that evening, and just recognizing the truly dangerous situation that exercise put our law enforcement officers in, as well as the two individuals that were inside the courthouse. Could have been a very bad situation that turned out fairly decent.
The thing I wanted to point out is September 11th, two unknown people in a courthouse and another government building. It was, it could have ended very poorly. Could have ended up with 5 deputies off on leave getting investigated for potentially killing 2 people at a courthouse, so it could have ended a lot worse.
To that end, could I ask, were the 2 individuals in possession of anything that might have triggered your law enforcement to unable to answer that? Thank you. Colleagues, senators, do you have questions? Senator Lockwood, your order.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Was there a videotape of the occurrence? No, we walked around the building.
We do have everything on video. Yes.
Did you review that videotape to see where they went to the building?
Yes, sir.
Where did they go?
I'll have to decline to comment on that, sir. Sorry.
Thank you.
Senator Whiting, your order.
Well, I just like to thank all of you for being here today and for the professionalism that you've shown here before our committee and from everything that I can understand, the professionalism with which you conducted yourself during this investigation. The question I have, again, it may not be something that you could answer, and it's, I was wondering if you could tell us how long they were in there, and that's not a question to say, is your response time good enough, but it's just to gauge, what maybe they could have had access in. Do you have a timeline that that you could share with us from when you think they entered the building to maybe when the alarm was tripped to when you were, I heard 3 minutes response time.
Response time was 3 minutes. They were out of our building in 14.
Okay, very good. And looks like I had a couple other follow-up questions, but they were asked by Senator Sinclair, so I appreciate that. Thank you all for being here.
Senator Stelzny, you're on.
Thank you all for being here today. I'm sure glad everything turned out the way it did. I have a couple of questions. One is regarding your conversation with Chief Justice Katie. I just wondered if he had indicated to you whether he knew it was happening at that time during your conversation.
He absolutely did not know that was happening, and I believe him 100%.
Okay, good. And then one other question, just in general, how are your employees countywide, or maybe even just specifically in that building, trained on things like cybersecurity and just security in general? Do they go through any training protocol, or is there an orientation of any sort where that is covered?
All deputies that get assigned to court security go to court security school, and we have training throughout the year. As far as cybersecurity, they're not trained in that.
So if you were going to do a cybersecurity exercise, I would assume that that would probably be multi-agencies, getting some professionals in to help you with that, doing like a formal training type thing that you would offer to all of your employees.
I would go ahead and answer that as I have some information. Speaking with the deputy that is, I guess, the senior deputy for courthouse security, at a prior courthouse security meeting, he indicated that in the past, we have indeed coordinated with other agencies to test security protocols of the courthouse, part of which may have included cybersecurity.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Senator White, you're on board for follow-up.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and apologize for going in twice. It just sparked another question I'd actually like to ask all the law enforcement representatives here, and you guys as well. Have you ever seen anything like this before, and experienced anything like this in your time?
I have not. I discussed it in the past. I mean, also would take in a situation like this as a phone call. They would have called and said, Sheriff, can we do this? We would have made arrangements to make it happen.
And then that was my follow-up question, is how it could have been handled better, and maybe you could just simply that, coordinating, making you aware. Very good. Thank you.
Senator Graziano, you're on.
Madam Chair, again, thank you for professional actions that you took, and the fact that it didn't cause anything of any serious nature for injury or death. I know that they've asked you a lot of questions, and so I'm not going to try to figure out a different way to ask it. I have really one question. When you arrested the individuals, brought them in, and you fingerprint, you go through a process of looking, you do a blood alcohol test.
Advised to decline to come on at this time, sir.
And it seems like an odd question, but there, as you look through all these documents, you do see some sloppy workmanship in here, where items were left and so forth. Multiple attempts have been made to retrieve documents. And being as I understand
I think that.
So, and I assume that they flew here. So I just thought, it might be beneficial to know what alcohol content these individuals. I understand your situation. I don't expect an answer. Thank you.
Colleagues, any further questions for our representatives from Dallas County? Gentlemen, thank you all very much, and I will echo Sheriff Leonard, thank you for handling this, your staff, as much professionalism as you had, and supervisors for stepping forward and talking about the ownership of a county courthouse and activities that take place there. I do appreciate all of your time, and particularly for keeping your sheriff out of trouble with any commentary you might need to make. If you have further follow-up conversation or comments that you need to present to this committee or to me specifically, please feel free to do so. I can get you contact information before you leave here today. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
We'll give these gentlemen a moment to leave the table. And at that time, I'd like to ask Polk County, I know Sheriff Schneider was here. I don't know if you have other individuals with you from Polk County today.
I've got one county attorneys that are here.
If they would like to join the table to answer questions with you, that's wonderful. Otherwise, I'll let you take the table and take and run. Perfect. Thank you and welcome. And never mind, you get to vote too. If you could, for official record, please introduce yourselves to the body.
I'm Kevin Schneider, SCHNEIDER, Polk County Sheriff, here in Des Moines, Iowa.
My name is Jeff Noble. I'm a Bureau Chief with the Polk County Attorney's Office.
Thank you both very much for being here. And as of Dallas County, I'm going to ask you just some specific questions about the events that took place at the Polk County Courthouse, and then my colleagues will take an opportunity to also follow up with any questions that they have that I didn't get to, if that's okay. Understanding again that this is an ongoing criminal investigation, and so if there are issues that you can address, feel free to let me know that, okay? Let's hit those same courthouse questions. Polk County is a little different than Dallas County in the situation of the courthouse, in that the building that was accessed by these individuals from Coal Fire is exclusively occupied by court services. Is that correct?
Well, let me lay the scene out for Polk County for those of you that aren't familiar. We basically have three courthouses, courthouse campuses. We have the Criminal Justice Center, which houses our courts, juvenile court, traffic court, clerk court, and some sheriff's offices. And then on the other side is the county attorney's office. That's one building. We have the historic courthouse, which is the other building which is under construction right now, but does house courts, and some of the state court offices as well. And then we have the Criminal Justice Center, which has just recently been built that handles most of the serious or felony criminal courts downtown. So we have three buildings, and two of them are connecting, and one is totally separate.
And so the building that was accessed, which was it? Which of the facilities are housed there?
Well, sorry that I can't really answer that, but it's currently an active investigation, and we know that at least one building was accessed.
But you're uncertain of the other two, so fair enough. Regardless, whichever building it was, who owns the building?
The county owns the buildings.
Does the district court does the judicial branch have an agreement, either written or referenced by Iowa code with Polk County?
I'm with the Criminal Division of the County Attorney's Office. That would be within the realm of our Civil Division, so I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sorry.
Even if there is no written agreement, it is covered under Iowa code, correct?
Correct.
Part of that is that courthouse security is provided by your office.
That is correct.
Do you have specific arrangements of what that security entails?
We handle the physical security of the building, escort inmates back and forth, keep the interior and the exterior of the building safe on a day-to-day basis. So,
Are you responsible for the cybersecurity, if you will, or just the physical security of the building spaces?
well, I guess we'd probably be responsible for both. The cybersecurity would be limited. We would have to coordinate with our IT department or one of our private contractors when we do something like that.
As you mentioned, there is an active investigation underway with a possible break-in at Polk County Courthouse around the same time as the incident that occurred in Dallas County.
That's correct.
And with full understanding, just as with Dallas County, I know some of the questions that I asked you will not be able to answer. Just decline, that's fine, and I'll try to make sure I'm not asking anything that I really want to decline. Can you tell me when you became aware of the potential criminal activity that occurred at your county facility?
I got a call from Sheriff Leonard who told me what had happened and told me that I might want to do some investigation in our courthouse as well.
Was that September 11th, 12th?
That was on the 11th.
On the 11th. Thank you. And did you review footage from your facilities?
Yes, we have.
Can you tell me if a break-in did occur at one of your facilities?
I can tell you that it's actively being investigated in all the facilities.
Thank you. I just won't ask that. I'll make you tell me no. Was any physical damage done to any of your facilities as a result of this contract that the judicial branch undertook with Coal Fire?
Well, I believe there was some doors that were damaged. And I don't know whether our maintenance department had fixed them or what the status is on that.
But there was physical damage as a result of the break-in? Were any alarms triggered at the time, or you just discovered this through your surveillance cameras?
It was discovered through surveillance cameras.
I want to ask this in a way that makes sense, as I did with Dallas County. Had an alarm been triggered and your personnel responded, would they have been responding as if it were an actual crime in progress?
Yes.
Would there have been potential consequences of your personnel responding, of your deputies responding to an actual crime that may not have occurred had they known that it was a test of systems?
Yes.
Describe for me how they might have responded.
I'm sorry.
Describe for me how they might have responded had an alarm been tripped that caused you to send personnel to one of your facilities.
The officers would have responded in an emergent nature, went inside, first checked the perimeter, then went inside, and then proceeded to try and clear the building.
I should make clear that the sheriff is talking about general procedural circumstances, and we're addressing these as if they were general procedural circumstances, not talking about this specific
Certainly,
incident.
and I apologize if I wasn't clear in the framing of that question. Your general procedure would have been to respond with lights and sirens and the potential for harm being committed, correct?
Correct.
I'll ask you the same question I did Dallas County. Had any other emergency response agency been holding a drill to test systems, would you have been notified that a drill was occurring?
Yes.
Had you not been notified, would there have been increased risk to the participants of the drill?
Yes.
any exercise on any undisclosed crime, you would have anticipated from another agency that you would have been notified that was occurring within your jurisdiction or within your actual facilities?
Yes.
We do have a document that's part of a contract between the judicial branch and coal fire, so this is specifically to the judicial branch, but it pertains to, it appears to identify the Polk County Courthouse as a target, and I'm going to read a quote here. It quotes, "Attempts to gain unauthorized access." Are you aware of this contract?
I am not personally aware of it. I'm aware there is a contract, but I have not went through the contract.
Well, that's in service order at page 2 and rules of engagement on page 4 that references unauthorized access, attempts to gain unauthorized access, specifically appears to identify the Polk County Courthouse as the target. Do you have any other information that would indicate the involvement of coal fire personnel in this break-in at the courthouse outside of this document that I referenced?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're still in a criminal investigation, and I can't really answer that.
Did anyone from the judicial branch reach out to you to let you know that there was a possibility of a test of systems being conducted on your facilities?
No, they did not.
To your knowledge, did they contact any other county official, a supervisor or emergency management personnel? To your knowledge, did the judicial branch reach out to anyone within Polk County as to the potential for this test?
No, they did not.
Did the judicial branch contact you following the incident at Dallas County being made public? Did anyone from the judicial branch reach out to you, contact you about Polk County as an incident?
I'll have to decline to answer that one too as well, Senator.
Fair enough, fair enough. So that, I won't ask you about the substance of the conversation then, how about that? Has anyone from the judicial branch suggested that you keep quiet any information about this episode?
Yeah, I can't answer that either, sorry.
If I can jump in just briefly, the committee was very gracious and effusive of praise of the Dallas County officials. I just want to say, for Polk County, we appreciate that this inquiry is taking place. Our overall view of this is we would very much like all of the circumstances to come into the light of day. Declining to answer questions always feels a little confrontational, but it is the rules of ethics that allow us with a pending investigation to only talk about the date, time, location, and the very fuzzy general circumstances of the crime. So I'd like to express our regret for declining these questions, but it's been clear that you understand the scope of our obligations.
And I am more than comfortable with that. I can't tell you how appreciative I am knowing that you're going through an ongoing criminal investigation, that you even bothered to come today and share those date, time, location answers with me. I do believe that's helpful, even though you decline, and I don't take it as confrontational at all, largely because I kind of like sharing Singer, so there's that. Let's see if I can ask any other questions here. What's that?
It's good to have friends.
That's right, that's right.
Kind of a small group.
So can I just, appreciating the nature of where you all are in your investigation, are there other things that you could share with this committee that could shed additional light, whether on just general practices of Polk County as far as training and preparedness or concerns that you might have surrounding incidents like this, past or future? Is there any additional information that you feel comfortable sharing with this group that you can think of?
Well, I think you kind of hit on it a little bit. I can't speak for Sheriff Leonard, but I can speak for us. We would welcome a test of our security system so we know where our weak points are as well. We would like to know ahead of time before that happened, just to try and keep everybody safe and make sure no one was injured during those incidents. So, while it's an unfortunate situation that we're sitting here today, it's luckily turned out as good as it could have.
I will pause there and give opportunity to my colleagues to ask questions of you, if that's all right, understanding that you may not be able to answer them. Gentlemen, none, any? Senator Stelzy, would you are in order?
Yes. Thanks for coming today, and as we've already kind of reflected, thank goodness something bad happened to your deputies. If you were to do a cybersecurity training or any sort of other training, do you have outside resources that you would partner with, or do you ever partner with the state of Iowa on cybersecurity?
We would partner with an outside agency.
And then, do you have a training budget for cybersecurity?
I don't believe that I do.
That's all I have. Thank you, Manager.
Thank you, Senator Stelzy. Senator Luciano, your order.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sheriff, thank you for being here today. Well, thank you. You know, there's so many documents and so little time to prepare and you catch different things. And a lot of these questions are going to go to court administration. That's really the best answer for why we're here. But in regards to Polk County, Polk County is an odd county in the way that the campus of the judicial department is broad, spread out, and everything isn't like what you would think in many other counties. Now, we're focused here on Polk County Courthouse, but you did allude that you're still investigating. I look at a document here that says, in a prioritized listing, please provide the physical address of the facilities where physical security assessment is to be performed. And they have JB building at 1111 East Court. That's the Supreme Court, I would assume that's the facility. The Polk County, this is Polk County 500 Mulberry, that's the courthouse, the historic courthouse, correct?
Correct.
And then it has Dallas County. Then it has Juvenile Justice 225 Fifth Avenue, which is the relatively new Justice Center.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Where you said there's courtrooms, there's sheriff's office, there's a number of activities, civil employees, and so forth. And then it says criminal court area 206 6th Avenue, which is, in my terminology, is the old jail. It's being converted to a courthouse for major offense trials. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And the courthouse, the historic courthouse, in the old jail, which is now the new criminal court, is connected by a tunnel. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you can go from one building to another. If you gain access into the basement of the courthouse, you actually are on a path to, in the old day, you'd be heading to break into the jail. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So that in itself is a security issue, but now it's not a jail, it is a criminal court building, but you're still coming in underground. So it's not really, per se, a break-in or getting a door or key access or tailgating an employee. You're moving through the buildings. And what I don't know, and I'll find out later, is you know, if there was any kind of floor plan given to these individuals, maybe Dallas County, I should ask them when they search these people, if they had a diagram of the facility to know where to go. Or did you just, you know, go ahead, go in the building, look around, help yourself? Because my concern is there are other things in the courthouse, the historic courthouse. I don't know what they are, but you do. Mr. Noble probably does, and others probably do. There are spaces or offices. I know we have a server, I've been told, that's a county server. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, at least one of the buildings, or maybe all the buildings, I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. I don't know in the offices because my information at it's hard getting information because it is an ongoing investigation. But these individuals accessed the fourth floor, the second floor, the first floor, the basement, and the tunnel. And that they did deal with the county server. Is that correct?
I can't answer that, sir, because of the active investigation that's currently going on.
Okay. Is there anywhere in that building where there's cash?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anywhere in the building where there's weapons?
Yes.
Was there any attempt to get into where the cash was or to get into where the weapons were stored?
And again, that's a valid issue, Senator.
But we do have weapons stored, and we're not talking about a gun here and a gun there. I'm sure it's a stockpile of weapons. Is that exaggeration? But it's not a single weapon. I don't answer that because nobody needs to know what you got in that building. Fine. You had just said earlier that your discovery of this was through, you had surveillance, you had video, but actually you were apprised of this by Dallas County.
Correct.
They said, hey, we think you've been broke into, and then you went through your processes of video or external investigation to see what doors were pried. We know where they entered the historic courthouse.
I don't think I can answer that one either, sir.
Okay.
Sorry.
And then as I read through these documents, because of their shoddy burglarship, whatever you call it, they left things behind. And this is in subpoenaed documents. This is public record now, I'm talking from. That they left a satchel behind, and it has another name, but they left some attachment to a computer, and then they went and put a drone in. And that's coming from, I believe, public records. Is that true?
Respectfully, Senator, information you gain from public records is a different issue. But what we're allowed to disclose, even if you have it from a different location, our limitations are the same with the pending criminal investigation. So I encourage you to rely on the other sources you have, but we're going to decline to comment on that issue.
But I can trust because versus the search warrants that were issued by a judge were under sworn oath of the investigators that the information they were providing was true to the best of their knowledge, correct?
Yes, sir. I can tell you in general terms, every search warrant requires an affidavit.
So when I'm reading search warrants, I'm not reading hearsay at that point. They have some fact basis of why those statements are made, why those facilities are being asked to search for an individual or so forth, right?
I don't mean to be overly technical, but the affiant swears to the information that justifies a search warrant. The affiant may well be relying on hearsay information from third parties in the course of the investigation, but the affiant is sworn to the truth of what that affiant personally knows and has learned from others.
Okay. One final question, but it's more of also a very cautious statement, and I'm sure you probably won't want to answer this. Every county sheriff in Polk County has an evidence room, I would think, right? You secure evidence for court cases.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And I have a history with Polk County as being an employee for 41 years, and so I know more than most about the operations of each individual department, being the human resource director. And I know that if you have to pick one thing that probably is most sacred to the prosecutor, is the integrity of evidence, chain of custody, and the integrity of that evidence room. And it's been moved, in my knowledge, historically in different places. But it's not something you broadcast, not something everybody knows where it is. But we're talking about a very large room. We're not talking about a closet. We're talking about things that have been seized and held, and they're going to go to court from now until, forever. And some of this stuff is probably evidence back a number of years on murder cases or large-scale cases that are in field. Is that correct?
Senator, with respect to property that's held in the course of any criminal investigation, there are property rooms that are located at a law enforcement facility, in this case the Sheriff's Office. There is an evidence room at the Polk County Attorney's Office in the Justice Center, and evidence, once it is admitted into evidence in a proceeding, would then be maintained in a third location in a courthouse.
So if I authorized someone to break into the courthouse or break into the Justice Center, and the old jail, not knowing where your evidence room is, and just ask them to look around, see what you can find, look for servers, look for weaknesses. I could easily trip into the evidence room by breaking into that door to see what's in that room, correct?
All the evidence storage facilities at the 3 locations I mentioned would be secure. It would require an additional break-in, not just a break-in of the courthouse, but a break-in to a secure evidence facility.
Which is what these people were skilled and talented to do. They enter lock secured premise, that's what they do. So for example, if they got into that evidence room, stumbled in, picked the lock however they got in, and walked around to see if there was a server or something, because I don't know until the courts comes up here how detailed of a roadmap into our facilities that these people knew. Well, I'm going to go off the premise that they just said there's the building, and unless they did surveillance on our building prior to that to scout out where they needed to go specifically, I got to assume they're wandering around the building. And if that's the case, and they wandered around and found the evidence room, and they wandered in the evidence room by breaking in to check and see if there was a server, what would be the consequence of that, Mr. Noble?
If evidence was compromised, it could affect the admissibility of that evidence in subsequent proceedings.
So any defendant or any defense attorney, we were talking about this today, they said, well, one of the rooms, and we don't know yet because your investigation is not complete. We don't know whether it's cash, weapons, evidence. We don't know where all they've been. But if a defendant or a defendant's attorney discovered that an unauthorized person was in the evidence room, would that be grounds for dismissal or a plea for dismissal because that evidence could have been compromised?
I want to be very clear again, Senator. I'm answering these questions in a generic sense with no reference to this particular set of circumstances. If evidence disappeared before it had been admitted in trial, that could affect the liability of a prosecution.
So everything that was pending would be subject to challenge. If you were a defense attorney, a good defense attorney, you'd say, hey, unauthorized people have been in this room. I don't know what they touched, what they did. And I'm calling into question the admissibility of what you have as evidence. And would that be likely?
That could create a challenge. I think that for it to be a viable challenge, there would probably have to be some evidence specific to a given criminal case that evidence was touched or tampered with or moved or disappeared.
So, I don't know what else for the sheriff or you, Mr. Noble, what I have. And I know you don't want to say how they broke in. Yeah, we'll get on this. That's why, this committee may have to have a sequel because there's going to be new evidence that's going to surprise us that you're going to tell us what the truth is and what really happened on those nights. Because as I read a lot of this report, I just learned through discovery of reading affidavits that they were in our courthouse twice. That's not been reported. That they forgot things and were sent back to retrieve them. So they actually broke in that courthouse twice. Whether it's the same access, the same MO, they came back a second time to cover the tracks. And so there is more to this. And they were at will, and whether they did this in unison with the court administration that said, hey, we forgot our briefcase, because I believe we were told, because we had contacted, and when I say we, Polk County, we contacted court administration, I believe it was Chief Simon, who contacted court administration and asked, is there anything else that we should know that's in this building? And first they wouldn't return his call. Is that correct? That's in an open document, sir.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, so then we did receive a call. I think Nucio, court administrator, made a contact and said, we're not sure. And then there was another follow-up response that said, yes, we believe that there's some things left behind.
Senator, we can encourage you to rely on the public records you've obtained from other sources and decline to comment.
Okay. So, you know, the search warrants give you a great deal of information, members, if you really want to. I mean, it describes in great detail what happened, because, you know, a judge had to authorize all the gathering of computers and so forth for forensic discovery. And I know there's a lot of fill in the blanks here that will come later. But to close with you, and you don't know yet because you're still investigating, but when I look at Dallas County, I look at Polk County, I look at the Department of Public Safety, I look at the Senate and the staff, I look at your ongoing investigation, there is a considerable fiscal note for this debacle. A very severe fiscal note that has taken your staff of investigators away from investigating crime that needs to be investigated, and we're investigating burglary at our courthouse that could have been averted by just seeking a mutual cooperation agreement, and none of us would be here today. So, but at the end, I can promise you, Sheriff, I will want a fiscal note from you, so you start writing down the hours and the employees and the forensic specialists that you've had to hire. And the same with Dallas County. And I expect that from the state, and we can get it from the Senate, that someone needs to pay for this. And we'll get to the bottom, but this is quite an expensive investigation that's had to be had by a number of agencies. And, so keep your receipts. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Whiting, your order.
Well, I would also like to be effusive in my praise of the work that you've done, and I most certainly don't take your declining of questions to be hostile at all. I understand that you guys have rules, ethics rules, criminal procedure rules, and all that. That maybe some untrained lawyers on the committee don't understand. So we don't view that at all. So thanks for all the work that you've done, and that you found out about these things. It sounds like you guys are taking the right steps to investigate. I have no doubt that you are. And I would just encourage you, if you would, and also I don't know if there are the Dallas County folks here, but as you do seek a final disposition of that, when there's not a pending matter, and that if you could share any of those findings with our committee, that would be most helpful, because the goal of all of this is to get down to the truth and what actually happened. So thank you all for being here, and I just asked the same question that I did ask Dallas County. Have you seen anything like this happen before?
I can honestly say I've never seen anything like this. I just returned from a training conference with sheriffs from what they call the Greater County Sheriff's Association. So we're talking LA County, Polk County, Florida, the big sheriffs, and none of them have ever experienced this either.
Any, Senator Celsi, you're Nora?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to kind of allude a little bit back to what Senator Viviano was referring to, a public search warrant that was obtained on the 20th of September between Mr. Ortero from Coal Fire, which is the company who performed this work, to Mark Headley of the Judicial Branch. Sorry for the delay, here's the info I received. We believe a hardware USB keylogger should still be in place connected to a sole workstation in the basement maintenance room. This was left during our initial entry on the night of 9/8/19. We placed 2 more hardware keyloggers, which were subsequently retrieved on a return visit. We were unable to retrieve the one mentioned because the room was suspected to be occupied. On that return visit, the night of 9/10, we placed the Vortex drone in the server rack in the server room downstairs, which we believe is the device they've already identified. The case for the Vortex drone is behind the door. Thanks, signed Mr. Ward. Now, that was an email that was obtained in that search warrant, and I don't expect you to comment. I just wanted to let you know that's what we found out. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Are there further questions? Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today, and please do, as you conclude your investigations, keep us apprised. Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask Lieutenant Lawrence from Post 16 to join us, and any others from the Iowa State Patrol who are in attendance. Thank you. If you could introduce yourself for our
Yeah, Steve, do I need,
yeah, push button.
Steve Lawrence,
There you go.
right, yeah. Steve Lawrence, Lieutenant with Iowa State Patrol, District 16.
Thank you, sir. And thanks for being here. Where we're going to go with you is probably slightly different than the conversations we've been having with the counties, simply because we are talking about different types of property. But we did want to have you here to talk to us a little bit about the logistics, because I believe those logistics are still relevant to the work that Post 16 does here, and I appreciate that you come to talk with us about that process. Can you share the responsibilities of the Iowa State Patrol Post 16 on the Capitol Complex?
District 16, the troopers are assigned to the Capitol Complex, the security of all the buildings, and as well as the safety of the personnel.
Is that physical safety and security, or does that include any of the cybersecurity that might occur?
Physical.
Physical.
Yes.
Post 16, as a part of this, does provide security for the judicial branch building at 1111 East Port Avenue, is that correct?
Yes, that is.
The services provided by Post 16 in the judicial branch building, do you have an official agreement with the judicial branch, or is it just part of your duties as a Capitol Complex?
We have an official agreement. During the daytime, they do employ 2 what we call peace officer candidates. They're not sworn officers. They're very entry level, with hopes of becoming a state peace officer someday. And they are hired at the front entrance to the judicial building during business hours to identify employees and scan visitors as they check in the building. Post hours, the troopers that patrol the complex then check the building itself throughout the day.
Do you do perimeter only checks, or do you do internal checks as well?
Both.
I mentioned that we have contracts between the judicial branch and Coal Fire that does appear to identify the judicial branch building as a target for physical security assessment, including, and again quoting, attempt to gain physical documentation same document states that they have permission to access all areas inside the buildings, except for JV buildings 3 and 4, they have no access for. If there had been an alarm or report of possible break-in occurring, how would you have responded to that alarm report?
The troopers would respond and investigate.
Would they have responded to this as if it were a crime in progress?
Definitely.
Is it possible that there would be other law enforcement agencies involved in immediate response to that location?
Most likely it would be.
And I want to ask you the same questions that I did both Sheriff Snyder and Leonard, because this is at the crux of it. If a government agency were to stage a drill or an exercise that involved the appearance of an emergency situation, without informing you, the first responders, it was an exercise, does that increase potential risks to those responders?
Yes, it does.
And that would be true of any undisclosed exercise, correct?
Yes.
Including at a government building.
Yes.
Did anyone from the judicial branch reach out to Post 16, yourself, or anyone else in the Iowa State Patrol to advise you that there could potentially be a security test occurring?
Not that I'm aware of.
Were you contacted after the incidences that we've described that a security test had been performed at the judicial branch?
Yes, I was.
Can you tell me about that conversation?
I was made aware, I believe the following day or possibly a couple days later that the test had been completed.
Is there anything else that you'd like to tell us about that security testing? But
No.
that does conclude my questions regarding this. Judicial branch does have authority over that building. You are providing external and internal physical security. So a bit of a different conversation, but the fact remains that you were not notified, you were not aware a test was occurring, and had you responded to the unauthorized entry, you would have responded as if it were a crime in progress with the potential for harm to your officers, your law enforcement, or the individual society.
That's correct.
Senators, or would any of you like to ask Senator Salty or Norton?
Thank you for being here today. Thanks, Madam Chair. I assume that patrol is something that people are called off of on a normal basis when there's other incidents, accidents, things like that on a given evening.
That's true.
So on that evening, was your unit fully staffed?
We had troopers on duty. They testify now how many were on duty. I'm not sure.
I would love to know that at some point. Thank you. That's my only question.
Senator Bizignani, you're in order.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Lieutenant, I must have dozed off. I missed a couple of points. They breached the building or not?
They did.
They got in.
Yes.
And when they got in, did it trigger any alarms that alerted the troopers?
No.
So is there an alarm system in the building, or how is it secured from intruders?
Well, the troopers checked the building throughout the evening. As far as an alarm system, I guess I prefer not to comment.
So then how were you notified that they had accomplished their mission to do the IT check?
I was notified after the fact that it had taken place.
Okay, so they got in, they did what they needed to do. Do you know how they got in? Did they tell you that? Like where your weakness is, how they got into the building?
Yes.
And you don't need to reveal that. And what date was that?
I believe it was the 9th of September. That the incident occurred when I was notified.
When they entered the building?
I believe it was the 9th.
And then you were notified the 10th.
10th, It was after the fact.
And what would determine the notification? Was it, hey, we just want you to know we got in the building, we did the security checks on the system, and we're done? Was it like a routine, hey, we need to let you know we did this?
Basically, that's what it was. The situation took place.
Because I guess my understanding was they didn't get the building because public safety got squashed that. They frightened them off. But they did, and they did their work. They left, they notified you, we did this to you last night.
That's correct.
Thank you.
May I ask you, following up with Senator Bizignano, who notified you from Judicial Branch?
Facilities Director, Jim Evans.
Have you since received a report related to the incident?
Yes.
An official report of
Well, no, I haven't received an official report.
Thank you. Are there further questions from senators? Senator White, you're in order.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And a couple of my questions were asked, so I would just ask you real quick, same question I asked for. Have you seen anything like this in your time in law enforcement?
No,
And also, too, I'd like to heap praise on patrol for the work that you guys do. And my wife and kids, we were down here on a Sunday on some personal business, and my son wanted to come here and run around, and of course, I had a badge to get in the door. And we worked in the door, 3 minutes, and a trooper very kindly came over to, see what we were doing here. So thanks for the work that you guys do to protect us. And thanks for being here today. And also, like the other officials, as you guys do conduct any sort of investigation or have any follow-up materials, that you can provide to us that give us more of a factual basis for what happened, we would welcome those materials as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Any further questions, senators? Lieutenant Lawrence, thank you so much for being with us today, and we do appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to do that.
you're welcome.
At this time, I do think we're going to take about a 15-minute recess. Just give everyone an opportunity to find a restroom. There are no public restrooms on this floor. You'll need to go upstairs or downstairs to access those. But take about 15 minutes, and so we will reconvene at, let's do 11:35. We'll start with the judicial branch at that point. Thank you. Sorry, I exceeded my 30 seconds. Please accept my apologies. We have several members of the judicial branch who are here with us today, and I appreciate that. There are several chairs at the table, and it's my understanding that you would like for the remainder of your staff and people to sit in the front row here with us so that they're accessible. So if we could make room for the judicial branch those who aren't able to sit at the table to have enough seats available there in that first row to sit. Just for the record, I would like for us to introduce for LSA to be able to be on record. So we can just make formal introductions, and then we will dive into the meat of the conversation.
Todd Muccio, State Court Administrator.
Molly Conway, Counsel to Chief Justice Katie.
Mark Cady, Chief Justice, and I was Supreme Court.
Mark Headley, IT Director. John Hoover, IT Manager.
Elaine Hewell, Legal Counsel to State Court Administrator.
Thank you all very much for being here, and Chief Justice Katie, it's my understanding that you would like to take a couple of minutes up front to please.
Madam Chair, thank you. I want to thank the committee for asking us to appear this morning. We will provide you with all of the information we can to assist in your work, and we will cooperate with you fully. I do want to begin, however, with an apology to you and to everyone for diminishing public trust and confidence in the court system. As the leader of the judicial branch, I take full responsibility, just as I now take responsibility to repair the damage and rebuild trust. In our efforts to fulfill our duty to protect confidential information of Iowans from cyber attack, mistakes were made. We are doing everything possible to understand and correct those mistakes, be accountable for those mistakes, and to make sure that they never, ever occur again. In the end, I hope we will not be judged as much by the mistakes made, but by the character that we display in accepting responsibility and correcting them. We want to work with you and others to continue to protect Iowans' personal information, to be better than before, and for our relationship with our county partners to be stronger than ever. Thank you again for the opportunity to appear, and we look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Chief Justice. And as we've done with our other guests, I will start with just some questions regarding the actual incident and general information that covers the background and helps us to get a more complete understanding of the situation. If that's acceptable to my colleagues, we'll continue along that line. It is important for us to understand how this occurred, why it occurred, where any breakdowns existed, and see if there's anything that needs to be done from a procedural standpoint in relationship with the separate and distinct powers of the different branches of government, if there's anything that we need to do moving forward to correct this. And so if you'll bear with me, there are several questions that I have, and I know that my colleagues have as well. And so I thank you in advance for your patience with us and your time taken in answering them. Justice background related to what Chief Justice just said, there is, Iowa code is fairly clear in the roles and responsibilities that are provided for the Iowa judicial branch, particularly section 602.1204. The Supreme Court shall prescribe procedures for the orderly and efficient supervision and administration of the judicial branch, executed by the Chief Justice. 602.1205. The Supreme Court shall prescribe procedures for the orderly and efficient administration of the business of the courts. Again, under your direct supervision. 602.1209, the management of the judicial branch and the state court administrator ultimately falls under the direct supervision of the Chief Justice. Letting us know by law, just what you said, Chief Justice Katie, that you are, if you will, the executive officer of the judicial branch and have those under you have immediate direct supervision by you. Is that correct?
Correct.
Would this include contracts such as the one we discussed here today?
No.
No? Who would be responsible for that?
The contract was created through our IT division, and they would have that authority.
Is the IT division not under the judicial branches? Ultimately.
It is.
And that would include these testings as well, beyond just the contract, the actual testings under the IT supervision, which are they answerable to you ultimately, or is that a different branch of state government that oversees the IT and the judicial branch?
No, you've described the responsibility of the Chief Justice, but part of your question was who's responsible to enter into the contracts? Is that what we're talking about?
Who's ultimately responsible for the contract, for the execution of the contract? Is that, I understand the contract was made by the IT department, but ultimately that would fall under your jurisdiction as well.
To enter into the contract, is that your question?
No, so the
I don't enter into contracts.
No, of course not, of course not. And the contracts themselves, which are before me, are not signed by you, they are entered into by staff of the judicial branch, but ultimately they are your responsibility.
Yeah, ultimately, I'm responsible to manage and oversee the court administration of our branch of government.
The judicial branch has its own IT system that's exclusive to the judicial branch, is that correct? Including electronic records?
Yes.
Does the Office of the Chief Information Officer for the state of Iowa have any role in that system?
Yes.
Could you describe that?
Mark Headley is our IT director, and I think he would provide you with the answer to that question.
Mr. Headley?
Yes, we partner with the SIO on a couple different initiatives, one of them being web-facing servers, also some internal security assessments, and other partnerships that we work with that in regards to.
Perfect, thank you. Could you talk to me why it's important for the judicial branch to have that separate system?
Yeah, court records are the responsibility of the clerk support and the courts. So the systems, although we do use the same network, but the system itself that houses the data is separate and maintained by the courts.
Physical security of the judicial branch building is, as we learned earlier, provided by Post 16 of the Iowa State Patrol, correct?
That's correct.
But at county courthouses, physical security is provided by local law enforcement, by the sheriff's offices?
That's my understanding.
Can you describe for me the kinds of records that are maintained by the judicial branch and what personal information might be included in those records that are maintained there?
Yeah, there's any kind of a court case that is involved in the courts, we have personal information. Even, for example, an adoption record, divorce decrees before they become public, any other private information, social security numbers, birthdays, personal financial information, could be.
But suffice it to say, some pretty broad-reaching personal identifying. Have you experienced issues with unauthorized access to records in the past, electronic or otherwise, that might prompt
Yes.
Can you describe what those events were and how they were impacted?
It's a security concern if I share that at this time.
Fair enough. Were you able to determine what types of information was compromised?
That would be a better question to ask to John.
Could you join us? And if you want, pull your chair right out, it'll be uncomfortable.
I apologize.
No, I'm just thinking of your comfort there too.
There have been regular occurrences where we've had, just as I would say any large organization has, attempts that are either successful or unsuccessful to gain access to staff privileged information. Could include emails, impersonating someone or something of that nature. We have a regular basis scan for those types of incidents, and as well as respond to items that are either successful or unsuccessful. There's also been cases of malware or virus type activity that has managed to get onto judicial branch computers, and people in one of my teams would be partly responsible for investigating those incidents and determining what, if any, information may have been compromised and how to clean the infection, mitigate the risks, and remove the malware.
At any time, has there been information that was personally identifying that has been exposed that you've had to react to?
Not to my knowledge, specifically to personally identifiable information.
So you've never had to take steps to inform individuals that they may have been compromised?
No.
Before this past month, had the judicial branch property or facility ever been burglarized in a physical sense as what was tested?
Not that I'm aware.
But so, just getting just more general information about the judicial branch's efforts to test electronic and physical security measures. Can you tell me when the process began these efforts to do these real-time tests?
Are you talking about any kind of testing at all?
Yes.
I would say that was probably a couple of years after I was employed, so about 2009.
2009.
Started looking into different tests.
Can you tell me any contractors that you've used to perform security consulting and testing services in the past?
Yeah, we've used Full-Fire in the past, 2015. We used AOS.
AOS?
Yeah, AOS. I'm not sure of the date on that one, the year, but it was more recent.
More recent?
We've also used the OCIO to do pen tests.
OCIO?
And then, not that long ago, we used the Department of Homeland Security, the federal Department of Homeland Security.
The AOS and using OCIO and DHS, those occurred after the 2015 Full-Fire contract?
Yes.
Because it's the same organization, what was tested in 2015 with Full-Fire?
It was a very similar test. The scope was very well defined back in 2015. They produced the report after 2015. And we actually presented on that. Myself and my security officer presented to that to several different entities.
Were county facilities, county courthouses compromised physically in 2015 incident?
Yes.
Can you tell me which counties?
Tama, Marshalltown, Polk County, Story County, and Story County.
So talk to me why you sought services of outside contractors when you use those outside contractors rather than utilizing the Office of the Chief Information Officer for security purposes or working with appropriate law enforcement agencies for those physical. Why were outside sources utilized?
Sure, and I'd like to take one step back in regards to physical penetration. Because it was done during hours, during business hours.
During business hours,
Yeah,
okay.
during business hours.
Right.
And it was for controlled areas only.
It's a pretty big difference, isn't it?
Yes. And the reason why we use outside agencies is we don't know, we don't know. So from my perspective in regards to security, is I want somebody that, a trusted partner to try and tell us what our vulnerabilities are. Because again, we don't know what we don't know. And it would be inefficient for us to think that we were fully secure all the time. So we do these tests frequently to make sure that we're not vulnerable. In an IT perspective, from a network perspective, everybody's vulnerable to a certain level. We just try to shut up those patches as often
describe to me what frequently means?
We do some type of security testing on an ongoing basis at all times. Department of Homeland Security provides an external vulnerability scan that they send a report to us on a monthly basis, if not weekly. We have ongoing scans that are performed by OCIO, Information Security Office, as well as intrusion detection type scans that are real time. As soon as something that appears to be an infection or a compromise is detected on the network, we get an alert immediately.
Do you use software for that?
There's a software that's provided by Office of Chief Information Officer. As far as external, we typically perform some type of penetration test provided by a third party, or try to every 18 to 24 months, I would say.
So something like the coal fire contract was just executed as 18 to 24 months?
There are various different types of third-party contracts that we may enter into. Coal fire would be the type of engagement that this was is less frequent. Typically, it's more contained to either internal testing versus external testing from the internet.
And I understand, I don't want to dive into, you do have the duty to maintain Iowa's records, but do you have any other existing or prior contracts that this committee has not obtained that would be relevant to the conversation?
I'm not really sure what you were given, so I can answer that question.
In an email dated September 18th, there are contracts specific to coal fire and specific incidents, so it would be anything outside of, there's a master contract as well as in terms of the specific engagements. And those were provided to us by Patrons.
There were also some documents from 2015 that were very other than the master agreement.
We placed all the documents on our website that are related to this contract or this incident.
So would you mind, would one of you mind forwarding a link to those documents to Bob Bird, who's staff for this meeting? And Bridget, you got it? Okay. Bob may already have it as well. Okay, thank you very much for that. So on the occasion where you've had these contracts in the past, did you inform any law enforcement there was a potential for a test?
No, we did not in the past, mostly because we did not expect any access beyond public accessibility. Testing the law enforcement security of the building is not within our purview for this, and wouldn't be something that we would test without speaking to them.
So I'm going to deviate just a bit and dive into the scope of testing and the assumptions and limitations related to that. The document itself says it can be during the day and evening. And the document says that if the penetration testing is expected to be conducted during normal business hours, Monday through Friday, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And in dark print, notes that a request for testing outside of the above, a request from the judicial branch for testing outside of the above would be an additional charge. So someone from the judicial branch had to make the request that these testing occur outside of these regular hours for them to occur according to the contract.
Agreed. And to the best of my knowledge, none of us did so.
There
There's been no request to test outside the normal business hours.
There's a violation of the contract then if no one from the judicial branch made that request.
It has always been our understanding that the testing would be done for court-controlled spaces and only involve judicial branch personnel.
And I hate to impede myself in questioning, but the contract specifically states some exclusions in the judicial branch building, but there are no exclusions placed on county-owned properties.
Right, the directive that was given to coal fire, and Mark might be better able of answering this question, was different than what ended up in the contract. And I think the biggest issue that we face is the fact that the contract had not been reviewed carefully to determine where the conflicts and the ambiguity lie.
I'm still struggling with this because we had testimony from the sheriff this morning that when they contacted an official with the judicial branch that the individual was aware that the breaches were occurring.
We can't speak to as what the employee that was mentioned indicated to the sheriff. That was a conversation unknown to us.
Did this individual request an outside time testing if he was not alarmed or surprised by the phone call, and it indicates in the contract that there would have to be a request for an out of business hours testing to occur?
We don't know.
Are you
To our
taking attempts to?
We have an independent investigation that's underway, and we hope to receive the report in the very near future that will get to the bottom, and we'll review the facts that are presented and take appropriate action.
Thank you. So we're talking about the contract. Who then informed Coal Fire of the terms that the judicial branch sought?
Andrew Shirley was involved in initial discussions with Coal Fire. Eventually there was a scoping call that I was involved in as well.
Who performed the legal review of this document?
There was no legal review of the contract done. One of the things that we have determined very clearly through the course of these incidents is that there needs to be a process put in place, that protocol where legal review is performed and some various other protocols to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Is the judicial branch in the process of determining those protocols?
As I mentioned, we are waiting for the independent investigation to identify where the mistakes were made, and we will implement whatever protocols are necessary to prevent this from happening again.
Who approved the final contract prior to its execution?
The master service agreement was signed in 2015. We did the original test. And then there were 5 other documents that were attached that maybe referred to as the contract, the service order. The service order was signed by myself. The social engineering authorization was signed by Andrew, John, and myself. And the rules of engagement were signed by Andrew.
Were there other individuals within the judicial branch that were aware of the content of the contract?
No.
I'm going to dive a little technical here, if that's okay, and talk specifically about some of the language in the contract, if that's appropriate at this time. I want to refer back to my statement that there were portions of the judicial branch building that were excluded, as in penetration test rules of engagement on page 13. countywide. Page 13, penetration test rules of engagement.
If I can clarify in the interim here, is that, as I understand it, Mr. Henley had a conversation that indicated that the testing within the judicial branch building was not to take place while court was in session on levels 3 and level 4. Somehow that got interpreted or placed in the contract to exclude levels 3 and 4.
Looking specifically just at that redaction, is that for security purposes it was redacted, or?
It's been.
The rules of engagement document states at page 4 that the physical security assessment specifically includes attempts to gain physical documentation at 3 locations. Those locations we described here this morning. It includes attempts to physically gain internal network access. What does gain physical documentation mean?
Typically, it's taking a picture, we call it lay hands. So the professional security personnel who do these types of engagements know that you're not interested in actually having a breach, a true reportable breach. So it's not that you steal the documents, it's not that you tamper with anything. It's that I was able to gain access. Here's a photo of me standing in a secured area or something of that nature. So physical documentation. Correct. So physical documentation would be considered proof that they were able to access an area that would normally not be open to the public.
So along those lines, what does physically gain internal network access mean, and how is that proven?
That would be done by installing a device on the network or compromising a device that is already on the network. So the devices that have been found in certain places were there as part of the gain physical internal network access.
So the document also states that Bullfire will leave behind malicious devices such as thumb drives, network drives. This does imply necessarily that they will physically enter facilities, correct?
I think what, again, I'll try to clarify here is that it was our understanding that the testing would involve court controlled spaces and judicial branch personnel. So when we're talking about a thumb drive, one example might be that we leave a thumb drive in one of the offices, or they leave a thumb drive in one of the offices that says salaries on it. And someone takes that thumb drive, puts it into one of the PCs within the office, and it releases malware or indicates that it's been compromised. Or someone tailgates an employee into an office, into an area that they shouldn't. No one challenges them, and they sit down at a PC and they show that it hasn't logged off, and they're able to gain access to their demo. They then can, that selfie example that you made. That's the type of testing that, beyond the type of information security testing where they're penetrating electronically, that's the type of physical testing that we were looking for them to do.
And so the contract states malicious device. Are they actually malicious devices? And if not, why does the contract say malicious device?
It's a simulated malicious device, I guess is the best way of putting it. It does make a connection back to computer server that they control to say this was inserted into the computer, and if it had been actual malware, I could have had complete control of that PC. Or the network is.
So the rules of engagement document, page 12 lists addresses of the facilities, the physical addresses for the security testing. The list includes the judicial branch, it includes Polk County Courthouse, the Dallas County Courthouse. These are the places that we talked about today. It goes on to state that coal fire has, as you said, permission to tailgate employees into buildings, to dumpster dive for sensitive information, and to perform lock picking activities to attempt to gain access to locked areas. At this point, did it occur to judicial branch personnel as these contracts were being drafted that these activities might appear threatening to the people working at the courthouses or the members of the public going about their actual business while they're at the courthouses? Was that a concern as you're making these contracts?
The discussion of lockpicking in the context of the scope call was discussed soon after a discussion of the highest value areas, and we talked about the judicial branch building, that the computer rooms and network switch closets would be the highest value areas for potential proof of concept compromise. And they said, are they locked, and can we lock them? And I said, yes, that's what you need to do. So, in hindsight, absolutely it makes sense. I think that there was context in that call that is not captured in the rules of engagement scope, because our understanding was that it would not include anything beyond our areas, our personnel, our equipment.
So lock picking specifically, I mean, you're gonna have to devise something besides the key to do that, right? Are lock picking devices, as you understand them, do they qualify as burglars tools that are prohibited by Iowa law?
Senator, I believe answering that question may impinge on a criminal investigation, so I believe it would not be appropriate for us to answer that.
Madam Chair, I hate to interrupt you. That there are pending criminal investigations in Dallas and Polk County is one thing, but there's the scope, there's the contract, and then there's the scope of the contract. And so, just taking that generically, would you be able to answer that question?
I believe it would not be appropriate to answer that question respectfully.
I'll move on now. The document says on page 12 also, again, it's a quote, does coal fire have permission to access all areas inside the buildings? If not, please list areas where access is not permitted. And this goes back to what I said. In the judicial building, floors 3 and 4, no access. 3 and 4 are out of scope, period. Floors 3 and 4 are locations of the Court of Appeals and Supreme Court. Can you explain why the contract forbids access to these portions of the judicial branch building?
Yeah, to follow up with what Todd said, I originally instructed Andrew to ensure that when the court was in session, that there was no testing going on. And that testing meant internal and external. The intent of the testing was never to interrupt services, but we didn't want to have the potential of that happening. How it got into the rules of engagement as it did, I'm not sure, but on page 4, the rules of engagement, the dates are on it, but I can relate that first.
So the exclusion is in there. I still want to circle back. There was no exclusion listed specifically for either of the county courthouses, which authorizes access to areas not under the court's control of those county courthouses. Is that correct?
There was discussion in the scoping call of areas that were off limits to full fire personnel. Portions of that discussion were captured in areas that were redacted, but the whole intention of what I had told them, I do not believe was captured in the final rules of engagement document.
And what was your intention?
To exclude all county-owned or non-judicial, to only access court-controlled areas and interact with court personnel, as well as specific exclusions for certain areas of Polk County court complex.
So the rules of engagement also says that on page 12 that the local law enforcement security personnel be notified that the penetration test is taking place on specified dates. And the answer was no. Can I assume that that doesn't make this as realistic as possible?
That is sometimes a consideration, but it was not for us. The reason it was excluded in this case is because our understanding was that they would be going in during business hours and only interacting with our court control areas and personnel. So the interaction with law enforcement personnel would have been a relatively lower risk, I think.
So but that's not what occurred. And realism of this kind, as we heard from our sheriffs earlier, involving attempts at so-called, and to quote the contract, unauthorized access, not only might, but actually does present actual danger to county employees, to law enforcement, to the public. Particularly when we have law enforcement responding to an incident of this kind on September 11th. There's another document that's titled Social Engineering Authorization that sheds light on the conduct of the judicial branch is set to authorize. In order for COFIRE to attempt to gain access to bio-court information system resources, the following tasks are listed. Impersonating staff, contractors, or other individuals, providing false pretenses to gain physical access to facilities, tailgating employees into facilities, and accessing restricted areas of facilities. Excluded are alarm subversion and forced door opens. Can you explain what then is meant by accessing restricted areas of the facilities?
Our understanding was that it would be any area not generally open to the public, within the court control.
And so if they can't force a door open if it's locked and not available to the general public, they are allowed to pick locks.
The court-controlled area, I guess that would be the case, yes.
But the contract doesn't specify court-controlled areas.
There are several places where gain access to Iowa court resources, and that was the understanding that I had, that would be court-controlled areas. That was the only information in the area that was in scope for this.
So there's a document titled Service Order, which includes the following statement. Quote, physical attacks are those which require proximity to your facilities and typically include attempts to gain unauthorized access to your buildings and subsequently your internal network assets. And the document further states the number of locations in the scope are 3. and refers to courthouse plus 2 other unnamed locations. Can you explain to me what unauthorized access to a building would be?
I can't explain what that means for the boilerplate that they have on there, as the boilerplate contract. However, I can tell you that our understanding was to access areas that we control, even within our building, access control within our building.
In general terms, it would mean areas not available to the general public.
Yes.
It would include entry by picking locks or defeating security measures intended to prevent entry, correct?
Can you repeat that?
It would include picking locks or defeating other security measures intended to prevent entry, correct? Alarms, tripping alarms. Let's talk specifically about Dallas County because that's how we know about this. This is what brought this all to our attention. 2 coal fire personnel arrested at Dallas County Courthouse were apprehended, according to published reports, on the 3rd floor of the building about 12:30 a.m. The courthouse building was closed and locked at that time. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Can you tell us how the suspects obtained entry into the courthouse at a time when the courthouse was locked?
I do not have first-hand information on that.
Senator, if I may, I'd like to point out under the Code of Judicial Conduct, not only judges, but people under the control of judges are refrained from making public statements or non-public statements on pending or impending matters. So the same issues that Polk County and Dallas County law enforcement county attorneys have, the ethical considerations also apply to us, respectfully.
And I can appreciate that, and I'll move on. Thank you.
I also sent her copies if you want to, of the rule, if you want to see it.
Oh, yeah. I trust your ethical integrity here on this. And I certainly don't want to infringe on any pending criminal proceedings at all. That's not why we're here. That's not my business in government oversight. An individual criminal proceeding is not what we're after here. We're after what happened with the judicial branch and with the instances that relate to properties that are not under the direct physical control of the judicial branch. I'm going to read directly from the Des Moines Register article. State employees authorized courthouse penetration, which is dated 9/18/19. So shortly after midnight on September 11th, 2 men were arrested after the alarm at the Dallas County Courthouse was tripped. And according to Sheriff Leonard from earlier, officers responded within 3 minutes and found the men manipulating doors and taking pictures. These men turned out to be coal fire employees who were also, quote, outfitted with numerous burglary tools. One man told the deputy that they were conducting a vulnerability study and handed the deputy a piece of paper, which he described as, quote, his get out of jail free card. And it contained the names and contact information of the 3 state employees. And one gentleman was noted to have said that they do this kind of work all over the country. I know you can't answer, but what on earth are we to assume that a get out of jail free card was to have meant to these 2 coal fire employees? Is it meant that they believed that their actions were authorized by this contract with the judicial branch and therefore not criminal offenses? Is that a fair interpretation?
We can't speak to their state of mind or their understanding as to that issue.
And I'll let that speak for itself. I don't want to dive in here. I do believe it's a reasonable inference that when the coal fire employee provided law enforcement with contact information for judicial branch employees, that he wanted the judicial branch official to confirm the contract and the authorization. He believed he was within his rights. When As we heard earlier, when law enforcement contacted a judicial branch employee, there was no surprise. There was confirmation that yes, indeed, gentleman was allowed to be there, that it was a legitimate contract. These are statements from earlier. Trying not to ask questions that would dive too deeply into the case at hand.
Senator, I don't know if it's helpful or not, but that is one of the reasons why the Supreme Court requested an independent investigation, was to look at the actions not only of the procurement of the contract, but the actions of judicial branch employees. So we are waiting for the completion of that report.
And I do appreciate it, I understand that it'll be forthcoming in the committee upon its conclusion. And if necessary, at that time, we can circle back together and talk about intended responses based on that internal investigation. I'm just coming up hard against, I'm a former county supervisor, and I'm coming up hard against the fact that as a supervisor, I was tasked with monitoring that building under on behalf of my constituents, the residents and taxpayers of the county, and that my sheriff was tasked with protecting that building on behalf of the residents of my county. And everything in these contracts and the response from the judicial branch employee fly in the face of the notion that county home rule to protect their own property and to deploy the necessary law enforcement assets to protect that property was completely ignored by the contract and by the judicial branch employee. That is difficult for me to reconcile with how I know this should have occurred. The judicial branch doesn't have the power to immunize anyone against arrest, do they?
No.
No. And yet, that's what the coal-fired employee thought was going to happen when he was arrested in a demo. There are procedures for booking, charging, setting appropriate bonds, so forth. The judicial branch has no part in that, correct?
No, it does not.
And yet, a judicial branch employee official asked that they be released from arrest regardless of that.
Again, that's probably what's going to be part of the independent review that's taking place right now.
Are you aware that the judicial branch employee was asked to the sheriff Leonard was asked by a judicial branch employee to not tell other sheriffs?
I don't believe any of us have firsthand knowledge of that conversation.
The fact is,
Excuse me, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Right. Let me clarify that statement. None of us were at that conversation. We were informed of that conversation by Sheriff Leonard.
after the fact.
After the fact.
The fact that the judicial branch employee asked him to withhold information from other law enforcement officials about an apparent crime suggests a possibility of future potentially criminal acts, does it not?
I'm sorry, could you maybe rephrase that question? I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
Sheriff Leonard suggested that Story County was up next. Is that accurate?
Again, I wasn't at the conversation. I don't know the details of that conversation, and I'm still not sure I understand the question. I'm sorry.
As of early morning hours, September 11, 2019, the position of the judicial branch employee that Sheriff Leonard spoke to would be that the break-in was authorized by the contract and that future break-ins were also possible. Is that?
Are you asking me, is that a statement that was given on September 19th? Or
Is Is that a reasonable assumption by Sheriff Leonard when he was told not to tell other sheriffs of the activity and that Story County was on a list? Was that a reasonable assumption by Sheriff Leonard that more potentially criminal activity was taking place?
I don't believe I can answer that question because I couldn't speak to what Sheriff Leonard would be assuming or what potential criminal activity, if at all, was going to take place.
Story County was not on the part of the contract.
And we do know that now, but at the time, that was the understanding. According to the statement entitled State Court Administration Statement that was released by the Judicial Branch on September 18th, quotes, recent events have shown that coal fire and State Court Administration have different interpretations of the scope of the agreement. And yet, so on September 18th, the State Court Administration had no knowledge that these late night break-ins would occur, but yet that evening when a state judicial branch employee was contacted, he was fully aware of the activity. This seems contradiction.
I think there was 10 days between those.
Right, and the night of, the official intended to contact in case of detection was fully aware of the activities happening.
All I can say again is it was our understanding that it was only going to involve court-controlled spaces and judicial branch personnel. And what activities coal fire took was outside of our knowledge.
Given the contract and the response from the employee, though, it would appear they were authorized by the contract.
I would say that we had knowledge that the contract existed and that certain activities were authorized under the contract. As to why the person who made those statements wasn't surprised, appalled, otherwise that he was getting this call at 1 in the morning, I can't speak to that in any way, shape, or form. I guess to extend that would have been my reaction had I received it.
Are any of you aware of what means the coal fire employees use to access both the county and the state facilities?
You can answer that from there.
I had to try.
Sorry.
Did the judicial branch notify Post 16 about the entry into the judicial branch?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge, we did.
Were there not concerns similarly with the counties that having not notified Post 16 prior to it occurring, that there may be the potential for harm to law enforcement and the public?
I'm not sure about the timing of this, but what I can tell you is it wasn't only until 2 days ago or a couple days ago that we found out that they actually broke into our building and to be going over the video. So I don't know when Post 16 was notified or what they were notified.
I apologize if I misunderstood your question. I thought, did we notify Post 16 after the fact?
Yes.
Yes, we did notify them after we determined that they had been into the division building.
And what about the law enforcement in both Polk County and Dallas County? Were they notified after the fact? Clearly Dallas County did not need to be. Did the judicial branch reach out to law enforcement?
We have no knowledge of where they had been or at that point. So, no, I didn't reach out to them after because I didn't find out where they had been until I found out from public sources.
So what went into your decision making on not contacting them beforehand? As we've discussed, most exercises of this kind include at least a high level notification for safety purposes when conducting an exercise. What went into the decision making that involved not informing at least the county sheriff at the top level that these activities would be taking place.
Again, we didn't anticipate this happening after hours. So we intended, it was only intended for the code controlled areas, the code control personnel. So we didn't anticipate any interaction with the county sheriffs. When we did this in 2015, we didn't have any interaction with the county sheriffs.
Many of the law enforcement who responded were responding as if a crime was in progress. Do you appreciate the severity of that?
Absolutely.
I feel the contract ignores the work done by local law enforcement and appropriate respect for their responsibilities and their reactions in real-time criminal proceedings, and that's concerning to me. The judicial branch has control of that building, correct? The judicial branch building is under the control of the Supreme Court entirely. But county courthouses are not, is that correct?
Correct.
And yet the service order speaks of unauthorized access to those county courthouses as authorized by the judicial branch, correct?
Senator, I think we've expressed what the intent of the judicial branch was under the contract.
I know the intent, but the actual contract says something otherwise, and that's an important point in my mind that we need to be making. They are not judicial branch property, and the judicial branch has no authority to authorize unauthorized access to those buildings. Do you believe that the coal fire employees were aware that the Fort County courthouses are not the property of the judicial branch? Was that information conveyed to them?
I can't speculate what they do.
In the process of creating a contract, was that information conveyed to them?
I personally did not convey that information to them.
Ultimately, the master of redline contract says that the client, the judicial branch, takes full and sole responsibility for the accuracy and completeness of the information provided to coal fire for completing each service order and for any errors in work papers or deliverables resulting from coal fire's reliance on such inaccurate or incomplete information. Iowa Code Section 716.6b is a crime for persons who knowingly and without authorization access computer systems, computer networks, aggravated misdemeanor if the computer data is accessed, serious misdemeanor if the data is copied. You guys know all this, but the contract with coal fire calls for that and does not exclude county property. What measures did the judicial branch take in accessing this information to protect Iowa's personal and individually identifiable information? What measures did the judicial branch, in its contract or otherwise, take to protect Iowa's personally identifiable information in the process of this breach? This is a third-party contractor, it's not.
Yes, it's a third-party contract. They were hired for us to do this type of, they were a trusted partner to do this type of testing for us. As far as how that was construed, I can't speak to that.
Under the rules of engagement document signed by the judicial branch, it states that information derived from security testing will be provided provided to the Iowa Judicial Branch of senior management and stakeholders in the form of a penetration test summary report to allow them to make an informed risk-based decision on implementation of applications, networks, and infrastructures. That's on page 3. Who are the senior management stakeholders who are referred to here?
That information would be shared with the state court administrator and any district court administrator that may have had any type of report on the overall report.
Before the arrest of these 2 contract personnel who had access to buildings and personal information, Chief Justice King, were you aware of performance of this contract?
Of this specific contract? Well, the court was aware that penetration testing would be occurring. We were not aware of anything beyond that.
I want to pause here for a moment. I know all of my colleagues have questions as well, and I think they're going to have ideas that are similar and more in-depth than mine. So I want to take this time to stop and give an opportunity to speak. Senators, are there any questions that Senator Lochner, your order?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a question for any bills that may be answered. Your recent call for reducing costs for poor indigent prisoners at the county jail were a big source of funding for court security. Do you think this is a good time to go ahead and do these tests with reduction of security costs or engagement?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
We understand that some of the fees for some of the prisoners have been reduced, and we thought that, so obviously the county's don't have as much money for security. So I was just wondering if you thought this would be a good time to do these tests, because the county's obviously, if they had $1 to do some drug tests.
The 2 runners are not connected. One is based on a Supreme Court case.
Does anybody else have a comment?
Any further questions, Senators? Senator Celsius,
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question about the 2015 report for the same company. Was the results of that report shared back with the counties that were reached?
It was with the district court administrator. The counties themselves are not reached. This is just the court agrees.
What I'm getting at, what's the end result? You want to improve security, you want to protect data, and I'm assuming you want to train employees on how to prevent breaches. What type of training is then done based on the findings? That's what I really want to know, is how do we improve the system? To me, sneaking in the middle of the night, doing all these things is one thing, but coming back then and saying, here are our findings, because we all know that our employees can be either our best allies in this effort to protect the data and protect the integrity of the systems within the courthouse, or they can be your worst enemy. So how are we coming back and sharing that information, presenting the data, especially at like maybe a supervisory level, so that they can share that information out with their employees?
Well, you asked a couple different questions there. The physical penetration that we're talking about in regards to tailgating and things like that, we share with their district court administrators, and then I'm not sure what they do with it from there. The other tests that we do show a vulnerability in our web-facing or a vulnerability in our internal network from the potential of a disgruntled employee. We then actively, for lack of better words, plug those holes and do configurations and changes that will suffice for those vulnerabilities that are not there anymore.
And in 2015, were there physical breaches of buildings?
Not physical breaches of buildings, but there were situations where employees allowed somebody into a secure area.
Okay. I just noticed a inconsistency in the contract. On page 4, it says the physical penetration testing can be done during the day and evening. That's on page 4. And then on page 7, it says all penetration testing is expected to be conducted Monday through Friday between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. So it leaves this kind of ambiguous window of time that's unaccounted for, and 12:30 a.m. is not included in any of those times at all. So that's a little concerning, and it's also very concerning to me that a legal review of this document was not done. It seems very...
As for the two differing time frames, there were several different portions of the assessment as a whole. And my understanding was that the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Mountain Time could have been for the external or network-based penetration testing, rather than the physical or attempts to gain access to the internal network.
Okay, one more question. Do you have a report on the most recent activity? Did you receive a report from Coal Fire Data on this?
No, you're not.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
To follow up, would you expect to receive that report?
With the ongoing litigation and the ongoing situation with internal investigations, we've ceased all activities, including filing.
Senator Lofgren, your word.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know it's been a while ago, we've heard a lot of information here, but Sheriff Leonard had mentioned that Chief Justice Katie is following the incident the following day. Can you elaborate a little bit on the conversation?
Yeah, I was in Muscatine talking with the high school students about our court system that morning. And when I concluded my meeting with the students, I was informed of the incident and the event in Dallas County. And on the top line of my counsel and I determined, based upon what we had learned, that what we needed to do was travel directly from Muscatine to Miguel to meet with the sheriff. The purpose of the meeting was to do one thing, and that was to tell the sheriff that this is not the way our judicial branch operates. What he had to go through and what his deputies had to go through is not what we ever intended or contemplated. And I needed to apologize to him. And I wanted to tell him that we would do everything that we could to correct whatever went wrong here, and that we would be a better and stronger court system as a result of it. And I apologized to him and everyone else that was a part of this. That was it.
Senator Whiting, your order.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just probably just jotted down a few things that I wanted to say to express my concerns here, and they are numerous. I'd like to just express those publicly, but I do have a series of questions afterwards, and some, as Senator Young said, I've got a lot of papers here, and I've got notes all over, so I'll try to be as linear with my questions as I can. I appreciate all of you coming here today, expressing your apology and your willingness to be held accountable. And I think importantly for me, I want to find out how that manifests itself. And it's also been said that we would hope that this would never happen again. I'm a little concerned that it would have happened in the first place. One way that you could frame this issue, and I would imagine you might view this as an extreme framing of it, but to me, what we have here before us, and I think it's very appropriate that our Oversight Committee is taking this up, but what we have before us is the idea that a branch of state government would give to an out-of-state third party the impression that they could target local governments and authorize what appears to me to be unlawful, and we do a pending criminal investigation, so potentially illegal activities. So just in a nutshell, to frame it, and you might disagree, but essentially we have a branch of government that has contracted with a company to commit crimes, and that's very troubling. We've had a lot of questions that go to what's in the contract, what are the understandings, what's in the contract, but what has happened has happened, and these people that committed these alleged acts appear to be under the impression that they were authorized to do so. And, to me, not to be too philosophical about it, but that is while it is a fact-finding inquiry that we're under, I think it's a good reminder that we have foundations here of law and order, a rule of law, and a limit on government power. And I'm concerned this is an example where there may have been some overreach, and more than that, as I said before, I want to find out who needs to be held accountable for this and how we can do that. A couple questions I have here, and again, I'll be skipping around, so please bear with me. And some may have been asked before, but I think help me get to where I want to go. First question is, under the contract, there are all sorts of activities that were to be allowed, and they've been enumerated, tailgating and dumpster diving and lockpicking and things like that. Under the contract, if there was damage to the property, how would that be made known to the facilities that were damaged? Would they be paid for?
I don't think we can answer that specifically without knowing exactly what happened and what was involved and who would be responsible for it. So I'm afraid that I'd have to speculate.
Is there a damages provision in the contract?
There's a lot of different provisions there's 4 or 5 different documents that comprise the entire agreement. So again, not knowing how different aspects of those documents would be interpreted if there was litigation, I think it would be pure speculation at this point.
Again, just bear with me. A couple of these questions got asked, so I just don't want to rehash them if we don't have to. One question, again, it may have been answered or may have been declined, so if you have to decline, please feel free to do so. But we have heard from other people, from media reports, that there may have been a break-in at the Polk County facility, and may have been one at Dallas County, and may have been one at the judicial branch. Were there other, you had mentioned in 2015 that there were maybe 5 or so. Were there other, based on whatever's in that document or your discussions on the scope, were there other breaches in other county courthouses that were planned or contemplated?
No.
Okay. And then, so was there, so you've had these contracts going back to the coal fire, at least 2015, that appears to be one of the earlier ones. Was there a particular incident or circumstance that prompted these tests, these physical intrusions?
No, there was no incident. This is really industry standard penetration tests, something like that. Sure.
So I don't have, just right in front of me, and I don't know if it's been provided to us, the language of the 2015 agreement. We have maybe some portions of this current agreement. does the language of the 2015 agreement differ from the language that are in this contract or some documents?
The master agreement is the same from both. I have not compared verbatim one for the other, but it's very similar.
Okay. And there wasn't a particular incident that prompted it. So if the language is similar, then why is there now this serious difference in the execution of how these intrusions were carried out in 2015 versus now?
That's what we're waiting for to find out in the internal investigation.
I want to go back. I know Senator Sinclair asked these questions, but I've got a series of questions that relate to the contract drafting and review process. And one of the things that I've heard from a lot of the testimony is, well, it's my understanding that, and of course we can only have your understanding, but one of the things that we look at, certainly in the law, and Mr. Chief Justice, this is what your branch does, is interpreting what do these documents, what does this law say? So what we do, certainly from the legislative side, is to use precise language, to be very clear about what we intended. And so I've heard a lot of answers to questions to say, well, it's my understanding that. And I guess my question is, rather than your understanding, why wasn't some of this language expressly put into the contract? For example, now, if it is in the contract, please tell me. But things like limitations on where you can go and what buildings, I understand there was some limitation in the judicial branch, but why weren't some of these things factored in expressly in the language of the contract?
Maybe one of the biggest sections in the rules of engagement on page 3 under purpose, in the second paragraph, about the first sentence, it talks about in regards to the Iowa Judicial Branch's management of the components under its operation and control. So right at the outset of the rules of engagement, it did talk about limiting it to the judicial branches and court-controlled assets. In the context of contract language, reasonable minds can look at the same phrase and disagree. Probably that's the biggest lesson that we've learned from this, is that we need to re-examine contract review within the IT area, and that's part of what we anticipate will be coming out of the independent review.
And just a couple of questions in line with that. And again, these were asked before, and there's a lot of names, but so the first question is which personnel participated in the drafting of the contract?
It was not drafted within the judicial branch. It arose originally with the master agreement back in 2015, and then that master agreement carried through to the 2019 activities. And I'm going to defer to Mr. Headley to maybe discuss how that process took place.
Well, 2015 is very similar. I work with the company directly and review the master contract and work with them in regards to all the other documents. Had scoping calls with them in 2015 explaining in detail the difference between a county courthouse and the judicial branch building. I can't speak to a lot of the documentation, how it was discussed this time. That was not in the scoping call. And that John was, and Andrew was, but I was not.
So no one in the judicial branch participated in drafting it, so essentially they're drafted by coal fire, presumably. And then there was a question that there was no legal review of the contract either.
That's correct.
And then it was approved, and I wrote down there were 5 documents signed by various members, and you listed all of the names of them. And so, not that attorneys are uniquely qualified, well, I suppose to a degree we are uniquely qualified to draft things like contracts and laws, but people, you can draft a contract very simply on a piece of paper, but I guess I would hope that certainly this contract approval process, as you had mentioned, as a goal of this would be part of it. Are there any legal reviews done of any other contracts that the judicial branch enters into?
I can speak for work related to state court administration. Individuals who have situations that they may come across a contract or a grant, maybe that they're getting some funding from, individuals do when they have questions or concerns about language in their documents can bring them to me, and I'll be happy to review them.
And how common of an occurrence is that? How many contracts would you say you review in a year?
Actually, not very many.
And anyone can answer this, is this similar to or different than it, for lack of a better term, you guys are a branch, but is this similar to or different than how any other agency would review their contract and procurement process?
I can only speak, I used to work for the Georgia Board of Regents, and the size of that agency was such that there was an entire attorney within the Chancellor's office where I worked that reviewed contracts that came up through that office. But other agencies I work for, you may get just a small handful of contracts a year. So I think it's just going to depend on the work being done by an individual agency.
Have there been any judicial branch contracts that have been subject to litigation?
I don't have any personal knowledge of that, but I can't speak to that.
A few more questions here, if I may, Madam Chair. So this is a nutshell, question kind of a lot of what we talked about. But and whoever wants to answer this can. Do you think that again, I understand the pending criminal cases, do you believe that the alleged break-ins that occurred, the methods that were used to carry those out were authorized under the contract?
I'm sorry, Senator, I don't think we can answer that under the Code of Judicial Conduct.
Okay. So I believe it was, I want to get a clear answer on this. Was Coal Fire informed that county courthouses belong to the county, that they're not the property of the judicial branch? Whether in the written agreement or in these scope calls?
I can tell you for a fact in 2015 they were. John, I answered it. Or I think he answered it earlier.
I didn't specifically, explicitly use that language, but there was definitely discussion that the county controlled areas of the building were not the purview of the investigation.
So if I'm going to just make sure I'm hearing this question right, so if this time around you fail to inform Coal Fire that the courthouse belonged to the county, in this case, let's say Dallas County, it's occupied and used by Dallas County, do you think that the master agreement makes the judicial branch responsible for Coal Fire's mistake?
I wouldn't want to speculate on that. I don't know.
Do you think that Coal Fire violated the contract?
I know you're talking about a contract, but there are at least 4 different documents, multiple pages each. To say that they violated the contract, I think can't be done just in the context of a yes or no, because there are so many terms, and in so much contract litigation, reasonable minds can differ. So for us to say, yes, they did violate the contract, or for them to say, yes, the judicial branch violated the contract, I don't think that question could be answered simply or easily.
Does the judicial branch have any intention of getting that question answered in a court proceeding, to perhaps sue Coal Fire for breaching their contract?
I think we've certainly been in discussion of the entire situation with our counsel at the Attorney General's office. We're still waiting for the outcome of the independent review. So I think it would be premature to make a decision on this right now.
Another question I had is, again, going back to this distinguishing, is how would, based on the documents and based on your scope discussions, how would the coal fire contractors be able to distinguish the court-controlled areas from county-controlled areas in a courthouse, in a county courthouse?
I can't guarantee that they would do this, but I suppose if I were looking to find the court-controlled area of the county courthouse, I would, when I walked in, I would ask, where is the clerk's office, or where's the clerk of court area?
Did the judicial branch provide them any maps or blueprints of any of the buildings that were?
Not to my knowledge.
I guess that would probably conclude my line of questioning. I guess the last thing that I wanted to say, it kind of mirrors my broader concern. I appreciate everyone that attended today. I know this takes time out of everybody's day, from the county folks that were here to you guys as well. I do appreciate the apology, Mr. Chief Justice, and I do appreciate your opening statement. There's a lot of moving parts here. There's pending criminal investigations, there's internal reviews, there's this committee's review, and so I look forward to working with the chair as we bring all this information together to figure out how we move forward to certainly make sure this never happens again, certainly the way that it has. But I do want to close, Madam Chair, by saying that I do have concern here that this would be an example where it seems that there's been some kind of overreach by the judicial branch. And as we just finished up this line of questioning, again, it's premature to speculate if one party breached, part of the contract or acted outside the scope of it. Maybe that's a different forum that determines that. But the very existence of the contract, that this idea was discussed or contemplated, reviewed, then memorialized, then contractualized is a concern to me. And it mirrors, another example where I do think, unfortunately, the judicial branch overreached into property that's not theirs in county courthouses. And that was a few years ago in implementing a policy related to firearms in county courthouses. And I just want to be careful. And that is the function of what these checks and balances and separation of powers is about, that we make sure, and I happen to disagree with it as a matter of policy, but to me the broader question is the institutional question, that the judicial branch, it appears, and on these two instances, has overreached its bounds in interfering in the safety, security, and use of county facilities. And that's a troubling development trend as well. And And so I thank you, Madam Chair, for all the time, and I know that we have a lot of stuff to review going forward. I look forward to getting the results of all of these various inquiries that are out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Simeoni, any other questions? Warren Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand. I'm in negative time now, so I'll do this as quickly as I can. I want the opinion, because I read on the very first page of the memo I have, is that they've shown recent events, the coal fire and the state court administration has different interpretations of the scope. Is that correct? Yes or no?
I believe that's
Okay. Chief Justice Katie, I appreciate your presence today, your sincerity, your apology. I believe you are sorry. Who would be the highest level to you that would have had any connection to this agreement? Individuals.
I direct and supervise the court administrator, and the court administrator directs and supervises IT. So the chain of command would be me, Todd Muccio, Mark Headley, and then John Hoover.
So Mr. Nucci will be closest to you in the chain of supervision or knowledge. So when you say you didn't know, I think that's what you said, you didn't know about this contractor thing.
Correct.
You know that there's tests and so forth done, but not specifically what we're talking about here today.
It's essential to manage an organization with the amount of records that we have to do this type of security testing.
Okay, thank you, Justice. The one thing, we've touched on in ways today, and I'm going to start to summate, and I'm not going to ask a lot of questions. You're going to get what I consider my opinion in this. I've read a lot of documents, and I've talked to a lot of people, and the very simple question that needs to be asked for someone to explain as we're trying to protect our information, our systems, and as law enforcement strives to protect our buildings. Someone tell me in a coherent, intelligent, makes sense way why mutual cooperation on this specific matter would not be a good idea, because what I'm looking at is if you want to try to breach the computer system, the information, Polk County IT doesn't want it breached either. Their systems nor your system. We serve a dual role. We protect the building that you reside in and do business on a daily basis. If you wanted to do a test, why not ask the IT, first address, out of respect, the chairman of the board, supervisors, that we want to do a test to see the vulnerability of the systems that affect the courts. And what we'd like to do is do it in cooperation with you. You step back, and we're going to come in and we're going to try every sneaky, new gadget deal that we can come up with to try to breach it, to hack your system, or hack our system. And when we find out if it's something that's beneficial to you or your system, we will sit down and we will inform you as to what we found and what you need to do. When it comes to the physical facility, show respect to the county sheriff, the highest law enforcement officer in the county, or the state patrol, or the Dallas County Sheriff, to say we're going to try to breach your building to see if anyone can gain access to our information. We're gonna set a time with you. You lock the building the way you time it down every night. And then we're gonna test it. And they can step back, and at the same time, protect people from potentially being, attacked by the Des Moines police as in the commission of a crime. And you do that. And you get in the building and you say, okay, here's how we got in. Either through your card reader or through, locksmith picking the lock. However, here's your vulnerability. And we want to pass that and share that with you. Why you went to such a covert, stupid operation? And to me, it's stupid. You've created this entire show, and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars cost to local governments. Which you will know what that's going to be. I guarantee you that. You tell me now, why couldn't it have been done in cooperation? I hear these terms, the rules of engagement. This isn't the military. Okay, we're not on the battlefield. We're out of government. You're a branch of the government. The courts or the counties are sub-governments of state government, another equal branch of government. But you chose to take it upon yourselves, 2 or 3 of you, and create this operation years ago. That you were going to go subvert everybody's system, a gotcha plan. And when you say, well, we didn't need to tell the counties that we were accessing the physical facility because we were doing it during the day. Well, we have security in that building along with employees during the day. And when I see 2 suspicious characters carrying a bag, which Dallas County said were burglary tools, do you not think that law enforcement, that our cameras, our security, someone would say, hey, there's a guy trying to get in this room back here that's locked, and that they would be approached as criminals? So I don't know what you dreamed up, but really it's shocking to me that you chose, as if you were getting into another country rather than in our counties, our buildings. We take care of them for you. We give you everything you want. Polk County's gone out of their way with an $80 million bond issue to build you the best courts in the state. And Senator Whiting asked, is there any other building that you breached? And somebody down here at the table said no. Well, would you be surprised if we do have evidence that they breached another county building? Would you be surprised? Don't be surprised, because I think you're going to find a lot more when this investigation's over. That this took turns that maybe you aren't even aware of. And you put people in jeopardy. Because our justice building has people in all hours of the night. One is my daughter, who works some nights till 11, goes in at 5. She doesn't need to be shot by 2 guys with bad burglary tools. So I don't think you gave consideration to people. You had this concept of what you wanted to accomplish. And you insulted a lot of professionals. And you owe them an apology. So this isn't over. I hope this isn't over. I hope we have another meeting when we have the real truth, the final facts. People should be held responsible. And the fiscal bill ought to be paid by the courts. This entire fiasco. Because we're all in this together. There's no reason this couldn't have been done in a cooperative fashion.
Thank you, Senator. Are there further questions? Senator Lofgren, your word.
I want to just mention that Chief Justice Katie, I really appreciate you coming here. You've answered the questions, we appreciate that. I know you're busy, and I know everybody came and answered questions and everything, so again, we're appreciative. And
judicial branch, like concluding comments or anything you add, like, that you add to help us through?
Madam Chair, we look forward to continuing to work with you. We want what you want, and we'll look forward to an opportunity to achieve that. Thank you.
I do appreciate each of you coming today. I know it's not fun. I know this hasn't been pleasant for anyone involved in it. And I certainly hope that you just felt maybe a bit of the frustration and concern that's been brought to us by our county electeds and our county sheriffs, the people that run the day-to-day operations, that house your operations, and their frustration level was high, and their concerns were certainly high as well. And I look forward to partnering in how we prevent situations like this going forward, not just for the judicial branch, but across branches of state government and local government. Senators, does anyone wish final comments? At this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the committee of the Senate Government Oversight Committee. Senator Cristiano has a motion that we